I can't thank you enough for what this evening means. Just seeing that film and seeing what the history has been and what these last 20 years have been and the people that have gotten behind it, you're really our future, and I'm extraordinarily grateful, and I feel a little bit humbled to be singled out, to be honored for where we've come from in Seattle University athletics and where we're going. I happen to have been fortunate to have been the president during these years, and I don't know, I think anybody would have seen the opportunity and taken it forward. I'm just glad that I've had the opportunity. There's so much that, only so much that a Jesuit can do to sport the colors of Seattle University, but you know the Red Hawk colors they're red, and they're white, and they're black. So I have two of the three, and I can even do better than that. There you go. So this is the Bill Hogan, John Doherty look-alike. Would you buy a used car from a guy looking like that, or would you make an altar call to a televangelist that's asking you to come to the altar that looks like that? All I'm doing as president of the Seattle University is asking you to give big to Seattle University tonight, so please hear me out. It's been an extraordinary decade in the last decade of Seattle University, and I'm looking forward to the next decade. You know, if we want to go to the future, it's so important about where we've come from and what that has been. I've said sometimes that I claim I will not retire as the president of Seattle University until we beat Gonzaga in our basketball arena on our campus. So that's a big claim, and that's sort of like President Kennedy's to this decade, in this decade, to the moon and back. So dig deep, really deep tonight, folks, if we can go there. I thought that tonight was actually going to be honoring my athletic career after Jim Whitaker and Elgin Baylor and Johnny and Eddie and Pat Lesser-Harbottle and Orrin Vincent, who's here, and Janet Hobbs-Atkinson and Tom Gorman. I thought you were going to be looking at what my career is rather than the decisions that I've made behind a desk. Actually, I've had a career, an athletic career, and in 3 different sports. Here goes, folks. You don't know this. This is a little revelation. So, first of all, in Juneau, Alaska, where I grew up, I was a catcher on Lyle's Little League baseball team. And our star pitcher was a Tlingit Native American who claimed he wasn't yet 12 years old, but didn't have a birth certificate and did have whiskers. I was an all-star player, and I had the record. Tim Leary loves this bit. I have the record for most doubles in a season of any kid ever in Juneau, Alaska, which meant that I could hit the ball in Alaska Mile, which means all the way to Russia, because you know you can see a Russia from Alaska. But I was so slow that I would only get to the second base. So that was my first career, is baseball. Secondly, my next career was in basketball. So I went to 3 different high schools when I was in high school, 2 in Alaska and 1 at Washington, D.C. And each year I remember the very first week, I was tall, remember? The basketball coach would say, hey kid, come out after school, over to the gym and let me see your stuff. And so I'd go over and I'd show him my stuff, and after he'd say, we'll see you next year, kid. And I had 4 assets. I was tall, I was slow, I was uncoordinated, and I couldn't shoot, but I was tall. So that was my second great athletic career. Third was track and field at the big time at Georgetown Prep in Washington, D.C., where we'd gone after Alaska became a state. And I turned out for track, and they didn't have a lot of kids turning out for track at Georgetown Prep, and so the track coach assigned me to what we called in those days broad jump. And so I went over there all by myself, and I would practice. I only had basketball shoes. I didn't have track shoes, and I'd go clump, 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 hit the board, and I would jump, and I'd always land just short of the sawdust and the grass. But that was my prowess. And one time, they entered me into a meet. They entered me into a lot of meets. That's why I learned humility. And they entered me into this meet, and I remember I thought I was going to get a point because the third kid on the other team, he went down the the runway, and he hit the board, and he threw himself forward, and he threw his hands out there, and he put his spikes right through his right hand. Yeah, and he fell back, and his head landed behind where I had jumped on the grass, you see. So I thought I got a point, but they took him into the nurse's station, and he came back out, bandaged up, and he ran down that runway and hit the board and jumped and beat me. He only threw one hand out that time, going for the record. So that's my career. So it's baseball, it's basketball, and it's track. So I deserve a little credit for that, don't you think? So you see, you need to help this guy if we're going to get where we need to get at Seattle University, and help the Seattle University student athletes, the Red Hawks, in order to become who we want to be. I think we're about halfway, or maybe 2/3 of the dream of where we want to get. We need you tonight to throw us forward, to get us the rest of the way, to help us to get where we know we can get. We're good now. Sometimes we're great. We're sort of perched and we're ready. I've learned of taking it from D3 to D2 to D1 that if you go from 3 to 2, you have to be perched, ready to go to 2. And if you're at 2 and you want to go to 1, you have to be perched and ready to go to 1. If you're at 1 where we are, and if you want to go for national championships, you got to be able to be ready to go there. And I think we're ready. We just need the push to be able to go further. Don't you think so too? So we need you to give a little lift off to the Red Hawks, because, you know, Red Hawks can fly above Huskies, fly above Bulldogs, you bet. I love that one. Fly above Hoyas, fly above Irish, fly above Golden Eagles, fly above Wildcats. We just need the lift off tonight to help us get the rest of the way. Yes, it's about coaches like Pete and Julie and Jim and Susie and Kelly and Doug and James and Jeff and Craig and Kelly. And it's about an athletic director. Isn't she great, Shani Fink? Let's hear it for Shani. But it's really about 350 student athletes who are eager to train and to play and to win at Seattle University, but are also eager to study and to learn and to succeed in academics, and eager to apply what they've learned to their careers, their teamwork, their discipline, their competitiveness, even more eager to deepen their values, to get greater beliefs, to do justice, to serve others, the poor, the homeless, and kids. So your gift tonight is matched about 5 different ways. It goes to win the reputation and the showcase the university that you love. It goes to make our athletic program and its coaches, its athletic director, our staff, able to bring about what they know they can bring off if you just help them. It goes to 350 student athletes who are emerging adults and who are on the mission and who are the persons to whom we're dedicated. And beyond them, it goes to thousands upon thousands of people that these student athletes, our alums, will serve in their lives, their careers, their families, and their passionate commitments. So every dollar you give, should I say every 100, every 1,000, every several thousand, is matched many times over now and in the future. So finally, your gifts tonight will go a very long way to make this 21-year President Jesuit smile. It'll confirm that the decisions we've made are right, and it will get us where we've dreamed that we always can go and know that we can go, and it'll finally get me out of this silly red coat and back into my blacks. Thanks very much. Give big. Thank you very much.